Hello friends. Today I will be doing a review. A review of a perfume that I love. And that I especially love for the autumn and winter, which is basically the only time I wear it. It's very deep, very thick. Probably too much so for, certainly too much for the summer. But we'll get into that. And today's perfume is Tabac Rouge by Phaedon Paris. It is an eau de parfum, haute concentration, which I'm not going to lie to you, I don't know what that means. I think this perfume came out in 2013, I want to say. Yes, it did. The perfumer was Anne-Cécile Dauvant. Never heard of her. And I don't know anything else that she did. I can't find any other information about her, but if this is the only perfume she ever made, she absolutely nailed it. I mean, what a perfume to make as your first and frankly only that I can find. I'm sure she's done other things because, I mean, you don't just come in, make a brilliant perfume and then leave. So, yes, well done, Anne-Cécile. This is an amber tobacco. And it is a tobacco. There's been rumours for a long time about how this didn't have the note of tobacco listed, but on looking at the Phaedon Paris website, it has actually got listed as an ingredient or as a note, Turkish tobacco absolute. In fact, I might just read you the description. So, Tabac Rouge is a quintessentially Art Deco composition. Turkish tobacco absolute and incense make up the core accord, spare, dry, and perfectly balanced. As in Tamara de Lampica's paintings, the colour palette is pared down and vibrant. Ginger, cinnamon, and a lick of honey. In the base notes, musks bolstered by warm, powdery cyan benzoin blend the scent with your skin, androgynous, stylized, and luxurious. Now, as the description on a perfume of a perfume on its own website for its own blurb, that isn't too bad, because some of the descriptions of perfumes you hear are just absolute madness. I'm sure you all know what I'm talking about. When you hear like a company describe its own perfumes, you're like, what? It's like, what planet are you living on? Like, what color is the sky in your world? Some of the descriptions, all you've got to do is go on to Jen Scent's channel and listen to him reading some of the descriptions for other perfumes, and you can just see him trying not to burst out laughing. Aaron Terrence Hughes won't even read them sometimes because they're so ludicrous. It's like, what are they thinking? I mean, you just stop it with your madness. Just say what it like. That's a nice short little thing. I mean, even that's got a couple of things in it where I'm thinking, what? But, you know, if you consider perfume an art form, then I suppose that's sort of fitting in with it. But that's about as far as I would go. I think that's a decent little write-up for a perfume. Certainly in the context of other perfume write-ups, it's not a bad one. So we will start at the beginning. It doesn't seem to have... It certainly doesn't feel like it's got a top. You spray it on... Hold on, I've sprayed some on. You spray it on and instantly you're into like the mid. You sort of like, there's no citrus, there's no light touches at the top. And I quite like that, and I quite like the idea of that. Transitions and like movement from like throughout a perfume is really good. And it's amazing how they can do that. And I rate it highly. But when you've got a perfume that doesn't try to do too much, and this doesn't, this knows what it wants to be, and it is that very well. It does that very well. So it will start in the. Well, I'll say we'll start in the beginning. We'll start at the beginning, but the beginning is the middle, and the middle seems to be tobacco absolute and incense, and that's what you get. The incense isn't the incense isn't so incensey as it backs up the tobacco, like it brings out the different facets. If you can think of the tobacco and tobacco vanille without the sweetness, straight up without like that vanillic, sort of almost sickly sweet, without that sickly sweet sort of like yellow creaminess, you know, it hasn't got any of that. It's got a sourness, a slight bitterness that you get from like actual tobacco. You know, like when if you've ever been into a tobacconist and you walk in and you don't get sweetness, you get like almost like a salivation, with like it's not quite sour, it's not quite bitter, but it's going more in that direction than it is sweetness. And that's what you get for the first hour, maybe two. You just get this like slight smokiness from the incense, and which brings out like the bitterness of the tobacco and the dryness. And it, like it says that it's spare and dry, and it is quite sparing, while still remaining quite thick. Like it offers you something, but nothing else. Over time, that starts to break down in like in a positive way. It doesn't unravel this perfume. It's sort of, you imagine like smoke, sort of wisps of smoke in the air that then become a cloud, and it billows out. It becomes less thick but more voluminous, and it drifts down into the base, and it goes through cinnamon and honey. Like it says, it's got cinnamon and honey in it, and it goes through those, so it does sweeten up a little bit. It does bring relief from the sourness, because the sourness can be quite refreshing, but after a while you do start pining for something that's not there. And in that way, the perfume is quite balanced. It's balanced top to bottom, well, I say top to bottom, but you know, like from the beginning to the end, rather than horizontally. It's balanced more vertically. So one of the main notes that I get, or one of the most, whether it's a note, I think it might be more like a vibe. I'm getting artsy myself now. It's like a ginger, not like a crystalline ginger, or like a pure ginger. It's like this sort of like air of ginger. You know, when you've been like making like ginger cake, or you smell ginger cake, and you're not close to it. There's like some air in between you and the ginger, and it's got that sort of, it mixes with the oxygen and the CO2 and the nitrogen and the air, and it sort of becomes very balanced, becomes very pleasant. If you ever smell ginger up close, it can be very, very harsh. Whereas this ginger is very, very kind. It's very nice. And it's very balanced in and of itself, the ginger. And what it does is that allows the transition from the tobacco, from the incense, to like the honey and the cinnamon and the benzoin and the base. And that's what's in the base. It's a benzoin sweetness, and you transition from being an overwhelmingly bitter sort of being an overwhelmingly bitter sort of perfume to a much more soft and sweet perfume, and billowous like a cloud, but not smoke. The smoke disappears, and the dry down, which is very nice. You are left with a shade of the tobacco, not really any incense. You're left with some ginger, a little bit of honey, and a big thick benzoin. Now they say it's Siamese benzoin. I don't know what that means. If you know what that means, you can let us know. But you're left with like a little bit of tobacco and some benzoin and some honey in the base, and it is absolutely beautiful. I'll wear this, as you can see. I mean, when you've got a large collection of dent like that's quite quite amazing. That's the bottle. There is a new bottle. I don't know what the new formulation's like. This is the original, I believe. They've got a new badge on the front. These bottles are just very standard. They're just a bottle with like a wrap. It's like that. That's not actually a dark bottle. It's like a wrap. It's just a plain clear bottle. But if you can see there, it's got some bubbling on the thing. But so it wasn't a big. They're not a big house. They're quite a small house, but some of the stuff they've made is really good. I had a large sample set, but I think I may have thrown it out or it's got lost somewhere. I've got to admit, none of the other perfumes really caught my attention. I thought they were going to, because I was really excited for it being a niche house. This was much earlier on, like when I first got into niche fragrances and stuff, and I'd smelled this. I was going through a tobacco kick. And I really wanted this, and I remember talking to Chris from Fragmental about it like a few times, this particular fragrance, and he really enjoyed it as well. So me and him, we used to talk about it, along with Amboise, which I might review soon as well. Not much similar between these two, except those two fragrances, except the fact that they've got like a vanilla you wouldn't expect, like a creaminess you wouldn't expect. They're not sweet, and I'm glad for that. I am trying to try more sweet fragrances this year, this autumn and winter. Like I'm going out my way to pick more of the sweet fragrances that I've got, because I've been ignoring them for a while. But this one is a perfume I'll always reach for. I've already worn it this year. Like this autumn, winter, I've already worn it once, and I'll be wearing it again soon. So yes, that's it. The performance is nuclear. The sillage is huge. It pushes for a good 2 to 3 hours at least, and then it'll stay on all day. You'll still be able to catch whiffs of it at the end of the day. It's an absolutely brilliant performer. Like I say, I can't speak for the new version. I haven't smelled it, but this one is absolutely spectacular. So I hope you like the review. I hope I've done it justice. I'm unsure if I have, but I hope you like it, and I will see you again with the next video. Goodbye.